Okay, so after watching all of the modules from the working with displaced people, I wanted to point out a few things that I wanted to reflect on and give my opinions on and talk about how it made me feel. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the usefulness of OTs in refugee camps. Before this, I never knew that OTs would work in a refugee camp. I never thought that that would be a setting that we could potentially work in. But after watching the modules, I fully understand why refugee camps need OTs in there. Um, the usefulness for OTs in a refugee camp really made me think about how what we're learning in class can be used into this setting and how OTs can help people who have been through one of the most traumatic things that they could ever go through, being displaced from their home and their home country and having to live in a totally new country with little to nothing with them. That must be such a traumatic thing to go through. And obviously, OTs can help in the mental health aspect of that, but they can also help in other parts, such as if they experience a new disability through their journey into coming into a new country, we can also help with that. So the usefulness of OT in those settings really made me think outside the box. And the next thing I wanted to touch on was the emotional stories that were in the modules, specifically the story of Janora. I think that's how you say her name, Genoara. I don't want to be rude. And how her family was displaced from Myanmar in Africa, and how she felt after leaving her home country and having to go to a new country, um, with only her family and nothing else. Everything in her home country was burned, or someone had killed someone had killed her grandfather and had burned her horse. So hearing her story about having to leave everything she knew behind and only take her three sons was very emotional for me and really touched a special place in my heart, because I could never imagine having to go through all of that, let alone leaving my home country and having to go to a different place with people I don't really know and having to just live life there, and basically with no resources and nothing except the clothes on your back. Um, I also wanted to touch on how the OT in the module integrated play, but also how he taught not only children but also adults um, how to just live life and be who they want to be again. So it was really cool to see that the OT was playing games with the children, integrating the occupation of play into their lives again, because obviously some of them really don't know what's going on. They're not old enough to know what's going on, but a lot of them understand what has happened. And for the OT to try and get their mind off of all that and to just play with them and work on some little skills with them, it was really good to see. And me wanting to be a pediatric OT, that really made me feel happy that the OT was doing that with the kids, but also how the OT was working with the adults and the elders on teaching them English, teaching them survival skills, teaching them ways to live in the new environment, such as they were doing banking, they were using vocational skills, teaching vocational skills, and they were also, or he was also having them learn how to search for jobs, how to interview for jobs. So that was really cool to see. And through these modules, it really did change my mind about working with displaced people. Like I said, I never knew that OTs could work with displaced people and in refugee camps, but after working this, it really did open my mind to wanting to help out these people. And even if I can't go over there and help them one-on-one, there is so many things that we can do here to help them over there, such as donations, sending them resources, giving them education on certain things and certain ways of life. And this assignment definitely broadened my knowledge on how to work with displaced people, and hearing their stories made me realize like how blessed that I am and how blessed that I am to have everything that I have, because one day, you never know, it could just get all taken away in one instance. But luckily here, we don't really have those problems as of right now. Um, and I could never imagine just having to pack up everything I know and having to restart life as I know it in a different place where I'm not familiar with, or in places where I can't have my friends there, or even sometimes you can't have your family there. And it really just made me think like, wow, these people have gone through one of the most traumatic things that they could ever go through. I can't even imagine what their mental mind state is. Um, the modules touched on the gender-based violence that women have to go through, women and children, and how at risk they are for violence, being raped, being exploited. And it made me realize like, wow, we really do have it good living here. And it made me realize how much help they actually need. So this assignment definitely made me think outside the box and wanting to help those people. um, Even though I'm still a student, there is so much that we can do to help them over there. um, as I said before, there's donations, we can send resources, we can give them education on ways of life. um, and yeah, this assignment was very good for my knowledge, and I think that a lot of people would feel the same as I do after they had completed this assignment.